What's up, guys? It's your man, Donovan Sharpe. And welcome to the 472nd episode of TSR Live, your daily dose of red pill truth, wisdom, and awareness. Happy Friday, everybody. It is June 21st, 2019. Hope you guys are all ready for the weekend. I know I am. We're streaming live to YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. So however you're watching, wherever you're watching from, I sincerely thank you for making the Sharpe Reality Live a part of your daily routine. Okay, let's get right to it. A lot of people like to talk about the things that they want in life. We hear people say all the time, I want to be rich, or I want to own my own business. But when the rubber meets the road, they simply aren't willing to do what's necessary to become wealthy or own their own business. We hear women and men talk about how much they want to be in better shape, right? Girls say all the time, I want to be skinny, right? And guys always wish themselves, man, I wish I were ripped. They go out, they sign up for a gym, they buy new workout clothes, and they work out for 3 days, and then they quit. Why? Because getting fit is a lot easier said than done. And once again, they find that they are unwilling to do what's necessary to accomplish their goals. I've talked a lot lately about the costs of being a man with red pill awareness. The price you have to pay to be what I like to call a 5%er. And by the way, a 5%er is a man who has red pill awareness, who lives the red pill life. A lot of guys have red pill awareness, but a very small percentage, roughly 5% of people who have red pill awareness actually live the red pill life. Anyway, I talk about the price that you have to pay to live a dominant life, to be attractive to attractive women, to keep your body in shape, to keep your financial house in order, and so on and so forth. Nothing comes free, guys. Anything worth having, anything that significantly improves the quality of your life, it is going to have a cost. I talked about this at length yesterday when I told women what the costs were in terms of keeping the commitment of a man of value. There's always a price to pay for something that elevates your life, something that changes your life for the better. I get dozens of emails every single day. And one of the most repetitive emails I have gotten over the years, and this almost never changes, is Donovan, I want to have 3 or 4 girls in my rotation. They ask me, Donovan, what do I need to do to have a stable of 5 or 6 girls at once? I want to build a harem. Where do I start? Now, anybody can get lucky and sleep with a hot girl once. Any dude can be in the right place at the right time with the right lines, wearing exactly the same cologne as the ex she never got over. And oh, by the way, she happens to be 1 day away from the end of her ovulation period, which means she's hornier tonight than at any other time of the month. When the stars are aligned like this, any man with a pulse and even trace amounts of game can get lucky and sleep with a 9 or 10 once or twice. But in order to do this on a consistent basis, in order to sleep with beautiful women on the regular, and I'm talking 8s, 9s, and 10s, it is a full-time job, guys. No, you don't have to punch a time clock and work 8 hours a day. But you have to understand that keeping a pipeline of pretty girls who want to have sex with you at a moment's notice is hard. And it doesn't take you very long to realize that sometimes it's just not worth the effort you're putting in. It takes a while to get there sometimes, but eventually you will get there. No, I'm not going to say that you'll get tired of sleeping with hot girls. Nobody does. But stone cold players, guys who have been in the game veterans, okay, who decide to settle down and get married or stay with just one girl, they don't decide to do this because they're tired of sleeping with pretty girls. No, they're tired of putting in the effort, the time, and the money it takes to continuously do this. Hall of Fame linebacker Ray Lewis once famously said, he said, Sundays you get for free. What you are paying me for is Monday through Saturday. The practices, the film study, the two-a-days, the drills, training camp, OTAs, etc., voluntary workouts. Football players don't retire because of the games, guys. That playing games never gets old. No. They retire because of the preparation it takes to get and stay on the field. Well, it's exactly the same as living the pickup artist and player lifestyle. The act of sexual intercourse with a girl is the relative easy part. It is the maintaining everything else that requires effort. But like football, you don't get to play on Sunday if you don't put in the work Monday through Saturday. You don't get to sleep with pretty girls on the regular if you don't put in the work. Feminists and beta males, I guess as we like to call them, guys who aren't really that good with women. They like to hate they throw a lot of shade in the direction of pickup artists and players all the time because we make it look easy. They throw shade in our direction all the time, talking about you're exploiting these women by getting easy sex out of them. You're using manipulative tactics to easily get into bed with them. But what they don't know is that pickup is far from easy. We make it look easy because we're good at it. But again, what feminists and beta males, okay, the incels of the world, what they don't see are the mornings we wake up at 4 a.m. to go work out to keep in shape. They don't see the thousands of miles we ride or run to stay lean. They don't see us making financial sacrifices to keep our financial house in order, right? Which makes us more attractive to women. They don't see us studying body language. They don't see us reading articles. They don't see us trying to stay on the cutting edge of female nature to keep up with what motivates them because, as we all know, females' motivation is a moving target sometimes. They don't see any of that stuff. All they see is a dude getting girls, and to the layperson, to the layman, there's no effort involved. And today I'm going to show you very clearly that nothing could be further from the truth. So let's ask ourselves this. How hard is pickup? How hard is it to sleep with girls, period? Let's take the rating scale out of it. Well, this is the example that I normally give, the mathematical equation. If you talk to 10 girls, and this is if you're good at game, this is if you're good. If you talk to 10 girls, you're going to get 7 numbers. Of those 7 girls you get numbers from, 4 of them will respond. Of those 4 that respond, 2 will agree to a meetup. Of those 2 that agree to a meetup, at least 1 will flake. But for the sake of argument, let's say that they both show up. There's no guarantee you're going to sleep with either one of them. But even if you do have sex with one of those girls, you've been successful with only 10% of the women that you've talked to. And if your closing percentage is anywhere close to double digits, you are a god. You are King Dingaling. You are Casanova. That is how difficult pickup game is, guys. So now you might ask, okay, well, Donovan, if I'm only going to sleep with 1 out of 10 girls I talk to, if that at all, how do I build a harem or sleep with good-looking girls on the regular? Well, the solution is simple. Talk to as many girls as possible. It's a numbers game, guys. The more girls you talk to, the more girls you'll sleep with. Talk to 10 girls, you will likely sleep with 1 if your game is tight. Talk to 30, sleep with 2 or 3. Right? Talk to 100, you'll nail between 7 and 10. But there is a trade-off, and that trade-off is time, effort, and money. It's easy to say, oh, okay, well, all I got to do is talk to 200 girls and I can have sex with Tony hotties. Yes, that is certainly possible, but it takes a lot of time and a lot of effort. Talking to pretty girls in the triple digits is a full-time job. And the fact that sleeping with good-looking girls on the regular takes so much time and so much energy, it's easy to figure out who the frauds in the PUA community are. Let me give you a quick example. If Joe Pickup Artist, who has a YouTube channel, right? He's got a blog. He's got a pickup artist course he's selling for $500. If he's out here telling dudes that he has sex with 15 new girls every week, and he accidentally let slip that he has a full-time job driving a forklift, he's exposed himself as a fraud, gentlemen. He's got to talk to at least 150 girls a week to reach those numbers. And remember, we're eliminating the girls who are 6s and 7s, which further shrinks the pool of girls he's trying to pick up. Guys like Mystery, the RSD guys, Tyler Durden, Troy Francis, Paul Janka, etc. Those guys didn't have 9 to 5s when they were at the height of their powers. No. These dudes did this all day, every day, because they understood how hard and how difficult the game was and how much time it takes to build a steady pipeline of pretty girls who are even worth sleeping with. Paul Janka, who I just mentioned, he is one of the greatest pickup artists of all time. He had a closing percentage of just over 11. At least it was reported that he did. Just over 11%. Okay? He got married a while back. Now, I'm sure there were many reasons he decided to tie the knot with his wife. But I can guarantee you that one of those reasons was that he just got tired of the grind game. His closing percentage was over 11%, guys. You know how many girls you have to talk to on the regular to accomplish that percentage? But Paul didn't get tired of sleeping with new girls, guys. He finally got tired of chasing them. He decided that he wanted to concentrate his efforts in other parts of life, but he also needed to have his sexual needs met. So he acted accordingly. Pickup game is hard, guys. This is exactly why very few men are actually good at it. Regardless of how good you are, you're not going to be successful if you're not in the field most days for at least 3 hours. That's what it takes, guys. Let me tell you my personal story here. Those of you who have listened to me, read my articles over the years, you guys all know that the overwhelming majority of success that I've had with women happened in the great city and state of Las Vegas, Nevada. I discovered the red pill back when I was 32 years old, about a month or so after I moved to Vegas. I Googled, why do girls get over breakups so easily after I dumped a girl who I found out later was on a date. Anyway, I worked at various call centers for the first 2 years. For the first 2.5 years and some change, something like that. Now, I was fortunate to make a boatload of money on commissions. I was also a very good steward with my money. I lived way below my means. So with a little bit of luck and a connection I had in the real estate industry and a buyer's market, I started dabbling in rental properties. And without getting into the long, drawn-out story, I started making really good money. And after a while, I was able to quit my job. And I haven't had a 9-to-5 since then. Now, this was right around the time I started writing for Return of Kings. And at that time, that was the only Manosphere-related content I was creating at that time. And I was only writing an article a week. And again, keep in mind, this was years and years before I even started my own show. This was years before I met O'Shea, Richard Cooper, Anthony Johnson, Rollo Tomasi, the Red Man Group, and all those guys. So I had plenty of time to kill to just sort of enjoy the fruits of my labor. Now, to that point, I had been red pill aware for a few years. I was having more success with women than I'd ever had in my life. But I was mainly getting 6s and 7s, the occasional 8, which to me wasn't bad considering where I came from. But anyone who's ever been to Vegas, you guys know that there are hot girls literally everywhere. They're in casinos, walking down the street, and the laundromat, the coffee shops, everywhere. Vegas has one of the highest density of highly attractive women in the world. They are literally everywhere. So I'm snagging above average looking girls, but I wanted to start slaying these 9s and 10s I was seeing around all the time. Well, now that I had more time on my hands and I was making really good money, I decided to completely throw myself into pickup game. Guys, I'm here to tell you, it is one of the hardest things I have ever done in my life. Guys, talking to pretty girls every day without taking a day off just to sleep with maybe 3 or 4 a week, that was exhausting. Now, in the beginning, the exhaustion wasn't nearly enough of a deterrent. Okay, listen, the first 10 I ever had sex with was a girl named Lisa, and it was unbelievable. Unbelievable body, great boobs, great ass, flat stomach, dangly belly button piercing. Her face was friggin' beautiful. I mean, this chick was a hard 10. And Lisa was awesome in bed. She loved going down on me. She was really good at that. She liked having her hair pulled. I mean, dude, she was unbelievable. I was actually spoiled by Lisa when I come to think of it, because after her, I expected all 10s to be just like her between the sheets. But the more of them I had sex with, the more I realized that 9s and 10s aren't nearly as good in bed as 6s and 7s. And any veteran of the game will certainly agree with that. Anyway, I worked very hard to sleep with Lisa. Okay, so I approached her on the street right outside Bally's, got her number, set up a meetup that same day, and she actually showed up. I was actually a little surprised because, again, I didn't have that much experience with girls who looked like that, who looked that good. Anyway, surprise, surprise, I didn't have sex with her that night. I didn't get the booty the next night either. But a couple of days later, on our third meetup, I finally broke through and I was able to sleep with her. Looking back, now when I look back at that, I almost laugh at the amount of time and energy and effort I spent trying to sleep with this girl. Our first meetup, I would say, was maybe about 2.5 hours long. We split the drinks down the middle. Our second meetup, we went to the movies. She bought the popcorn, I bought the tickets. She actually covered the date, our third meetup, because I think her roommate worked at an upscale pizza joint. I think it was either Ferraro's or Allegra. I can't remember exactly, but it was one of those two. But because her roommate worked there, we got hooked up with free pizza and pasta, so I didn't have to fork over any more cash. So over a 6-day period, I spent countless hours texting Lisa, running game, escalating, etc., etc. I paid for half of 2 dates. And on the 3 dates, we probably spent a total of about maybe 9 or 10 hours before I finally got her naked. Guys, that was one girl. And that's not counting having to have your thread game tight. Nice shirt, nice shoes, nice slacks, jeans, the cologne, which all cost money. And then you factor in all of the other ancillary experiences that come with picking up girls along with the time you spend. One girl, guys, one girl. If I had never had sex with Lisa, if it had taken me a longer period of time to maybe chat her up and finally have sex with her, guys, I might have scaled back my efforts. But because I met Lisa about a week and a half into dedicating my life to building a harem, my success with Lisa gave me enough resolve and motivation to stick with it. Then the very next week, I slayed another girl who was an 8, maybe a 9 on a good day. I can't remember what her name was, but she was a redhead and she had freckles. She had freckles on her chest. I do remember that. But she was enough to keep me going, even though I'm busting my butt every day of the week. It was exhausting, guys, but the payoffs kept coming. And because I had never ever slept with 8s, 9s, and 10s on the regular before, and was now doing it on a regular basis, I was all in. I didn't care if I had to go out and run game for 5-6 hours a day. In my mind, it was worth the work at the time. If you like the show, drop me a super chat or a Streamlabs contribution at streamlabs.com/DonovanSharpe1. Again, that's www.streamlabs.com/DonovanSharpe and the number 1. Every little bit counts, guys. No contribution is too big or too small. You guys know I don't shout out super chats on the air, but I will address them in the comments as well as super chatted question. I will answer them as best I can in the chat. But if you want a more thorough answer, watch my call-in show Monday through Thursday evenings at 6:30 Eastern exclusively on Patreon. Gentlemen, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. My channel does not grow if you do not share my videos to your friends. Text your friends, your family members, classmates, anybody and everybody you feel could benefit from my content. Blast this all over social media. Remember, likes and shares are free, so you can support the show and help it grow without spending 1 red cent. Sign up for my newsletter if you want to make sure you never miss my show. If my channel gets taken down, the show is still going to be around. But if you're not on my email list, you will not know where to find me. So to make sure you protect yourself, go to donovansharpe.com/newsletter. Again, that's donovansharpe.com/newsletter. This afternoon, I am releasing an archive episode from a while back about the Aaron Hernandez tragedy and what the media glossed over in terms of what pushed him to become a killer. Charles Caballero actually sent me an article that reminded me of the Aaron Hernandez saga. And then I watched the Red Man Group episode 2 last night. Anthony restreamed that. He did the premiere. That was an all-star panel. It was me, Anthony, Rollo Tomasi, Illimitable Man. Like it was an all-star panel. My, how things have changed. Anyway, I discussed at length about active shooters. Guys who did mass shooting. Dylan Klebold and Eric Harris out there in Littleton, Colorado, Columbine High School. Sungwoo Cho at Virginia Tech in 06. Adam Lanza right down the road at Sandy Hooks. Nicholas Cruz down at Florida. Marjorie Stoneman Douglas. What they all had in common was that none were good with women, and that's part of what pushed them to get to do these mass shootings. But Aaron Hernandez was different. He was a professional athlete. He was a college star. He was great with women, but he still became a killer. And there was one huge factor that determined that. And like I said, it was glossed over by mainstream media. So this afternoon at 5 Eastern, I'll be releasing the Aaron Hernandez episode from the archive on Patreon. Tonight at 8 Eastern, tune into The Red Line with myself and Steve the Dean Williams. We always have a third guest in with us, like DDJ. The week before last, and George Bruno this past week. So be sure to catch us tonight on The Red Line, where we will discuss how your girlfriend's friends will sabotage your relationship. I talked a little bit about that this past week, and so we are going to expound on that tonight at 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. So you do not want to miss that. I'm going to go ahead and put I'm going to go ahead and put the link to that in the chat. All right, let's continue. When I was at the height of my powers, I was sleeping with 2 to 3 new girls per week. 8s, 9s, and 10s, guys. Gentlemen, that was a full-time job. I cannot express this enough. It was not easy. We get guys all that, well, I sleep with 8s, 9s, and 10s all the time. No, you don't. It's not easy. It is not. Listen, I can't even begin to think of all the time, all of the money, all of the effort I spend on clothes, drinks, cologne, cab fare, meals. Guys, otherwise I'd be sick. I did this nonstop for almost 3.5 years, guys. If I didn't decide to just dive in head first to pick up, I would probably be a millionaire today, or at least very close to it. I say that facetiously. I don't know, maybe I'd be a millionaire, probably not, but I would have a lot more money than I do now. I can tell you that much. So here's my routine. My routine every day was this, right? I'd wake up at 4:30. I'd go lift weights. Then I would ride my bike between 15 to 20 miles. I'd go home, take a shower, check in with my property manager. Then I would go out and talk to girls. Now, I'd start around 11 a.m. because that was the time girls started making their way to the Strip or Fremont Street, whichever area I decided to sort of hang around, right? And what I'd do is I'd go to Starbucks. I'd get a caramel iced latte with a double espresso shot, and I'd hit the street. I'd go out and I'd chat up girls, collect phone numbers until 4, maybe 5 o'clock in the afternoon if it was a slow day and I needed to generate some momentum for the next day. No, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I ran pickup game for 5 to 6 hours straight every single day. Listen, I took breaks to eat, right? I'd stop by and hang out with my friend Freddie at the bike shop, or I'd drop in to see my guys at the Sapphire Gentlemen's Club to shoot the breeze, maybe grab a cocktail or two. You know, listen, you have to break up the day or you're going to get burned out rather quickly. But after about maybe 20, 30 minutes, I was right back out on the street running game. I did this for 3.5 years, guys. All these stories I tell you about this hot blonde or that hot brunette or whatever stripper or below average girl with the below average looking girl with a great butt. These things were all extremely hard earned lays. Okay. Granted, some of them came easier than others, right? Plus, I was cool with a few of the strip clubs owner. I became friends with most of their bouncers, a couple of their DJs, and eventually I was hanging around strippers who also had hot friends who had party favors. You guys can do the math there, and that would lead to meeting more girls, and it would go on from there. So when you guys hear me tell a story about a crazy weekend I had down in Santa Monica with a good friend of mine who owned a cleaning business in Summerlin and had more money than he knew what to do with, I actually met that guy because one of the friends of a girl I was sleeping with was his girlfriend. Okay. I met that girl who was she was a 10. I met her at the Aria. Her name was Amber, or I don't know. At least that's what she told me. That's what she told me what her name is. And by the way, one thing about Vegas is that you're never really going to know the real names of these girls. Like they could tell you Amber, it doesn't matter. It's probably something different. Anyway, Amber was a cocktail waitress at the Aria. And I just walked up and I said, hey, listen, I haven't spent any money yet, but I want a free drink. You have any suggestions? Right? She laughed at my joke and it was on from there. I had sex with her that night and for a couple of weeks after that, but before, obviously, but she ghosted on me. Yes, this happens a lot with girls, guys. That's part of the gig, right? But the point is, guys, is that all of my crazy stories about this girl and that didn't just happen. I had to go out and I had to make these things happen through hard work, hitting the street, and literally dedicating my life to pickup game. My friends used to ask me, Donovan, how is it that you're always at these parties with strippers and doing blow and all this for free? Well, I'll tell you how. I tip the bouncers $100 so that they can get me in front of the club owner so I can let him know, look, Mr. Club Owner, I've got a guy with powder so pure that if you put just a little bit on your tongue, it makes your face go numb. And he offers a bulk discount for guys just like you. So what happens? When the club closes, my guy shows up, and me, the owner, the bouncers, the DJs, the bartender, and about a dozen strippers and cocktail waitresses are all in his office on a magic carpet ride of our lives. The next thing you know, I've got VIP treatment every time I set foot in that place. I've done this twice, guys. And each time it cost me about 10 hours of my time and around $1,500. Yeah, that's a lot of time and money, but that's what's necessary. If you are willing to pay the price, that's what you do. If not, then don't complain about getting in good with a strip club being hard because you don't want to put in the time or spend the coin. On average, at the height of my success, I was sleeping with between 2 and 3 girls at one time. And that was fairly consistent. Sometimes it was one, other times it was none, but that was never really for too long because I'd make it my mission in life to add at least one more girl because I didn't want to catch one-itis. Sometimes, of course, it was 3 or 4, give or take. The most girls I ever had in my rotation, and by the way, just real quick, a girl is not in your rotation unless you have had sex with her at least twice. You can't sleep with 3 girls in 2 weeks, one time each, and say, dude, I've got 3 girls in my stable. No, you had sex with 3 girls. That's past tense. Like I said, guys, anybody can get lucky a few times, but it takes real skill and real game to be sleeping with multiple girls at once, meaning in the present tense, meaning you've slept with her at least twice, and you plan to do it again. Anyway, the most girls I ever had in my rotation at one time is 5. Guess what, guys? That only lasted 2.5 weeks, and it was exhausting. So in 16 or 17 days, I had sex with all of these girls at least twice, a couple of them 3 times, a lot of them in the same day. So at about the 2.5 week period, 2 girls dropped off. The very next day, another one dropped off. Then maybe a week and a half later, 1 more dropped off. So in the span of about a month, I went from having 5 girls to having just 1. So guess what I had to do, guys? I had to hit the street. I had to put in more time to add more girls to my rotation. Understand this immutable truth, gentlemen. Listen up. Building and maintaining a harem is a never-ending conquest. You will always be adding new girls, guys. Any man who is regularly sleeping with a lot of girls doesn't just get to sleep with the same group of women forever and ever. Harems have the same turnover. They have about the same turnover as a call center. The 2 girls you added last week, they're going to drop off the week afterwards. You'll replace them with 1, maybe a couple more. Then 2 of the 3 drop off, and so on and so forth. Okay? You almost never have exactly the same stable for more than 1 month at a time. It's a rotating door, guys. Get familiar with that concept. Plus, you've got to have sex with all of them at least once a week to make sure that they don't drop off of your radar or ghost on you. And I'm here to tell you that's a little bit overrated, right? Listen, don't get me wrong, man. It is cool as hell having sex with 5 girls in a calendar week. But think about this, guys. Think about this. And again, it's so much easier. Everybody thinks they know what they want until they actually think about this. When you're on girl number 4 that week, and you know you have girl number 5 coming over later that night, and maybe girl number 6 coming over tomorrow, it gets pretty exhausting. Don't get me wrong, sex is great, but dude, a man can only have so much sex. At some point, it does become kind of a job. And when that happens, you know it's probably getting pretty close to the time to retire and turn in your player card. Well, Donovan, if you don't want to have sex, then just don't have sex. You can wait till next time. Okay, you're absolutely right. But guess what? If you flake on a girl you haven't had sex with in a week, she's going to find another guy. And guess what? If she really likes that guy, she'll drop out of your rotation without a text or call. She'll ghost on you. Okay, so going from 5 to 4 is no big deal. But if one girl says her boyfriend caught her, right, and the other one doesn't return your calls or text anymore, you're down to 2 girls just like that, right? And the smaller number of girls you're sleeping with, the less leverage you have. And now your mindset starts to shift from an abundance mentality to the scarcity mindset. And that is not where you want to be. So anytime a guy emails me or asks me, hey, Donovan, how can I get a stable of hot girls to have sex with? The first thing I tell them is that you've got to put in the time, and time is money. You can have all the game you want, but if you don't put in the time, you're not going to get the results. Now, a lot of guys are probably thinking that using online dating apps like Tinder, Bumble, Plenty of Fish are ways to sort of cut back, and it's sort of like maybe a shortcut, right? It'll cut back on the time and effort it takes to build a harem, and you would be right. But need I remind you that online dating apps aren't swimming with 8s, 9s, and 10s, gentlemen. 8s, 9s, and 10s don't need dating apps, so they are rarely on them. So now you have a choice to make. You can either gorge on 4s, 5s, and 6s with minimal effort on the dating apps, or you can actually go out into the real world and run game on 8s, 9s, and 10s. You're not going to have as many hot girls as you will 5s and 6s. So now it's a matter of quantity over quality. And listen, I'm not going to disparage anyone who chooses either, right? If you're good with snagging the low-hanging fruit rather than climbing to the top of the tree for the better apples, you're getting no judgment from me. Just understand that if you're looking to build a harem of 9s and 10s, you can't have it both ways, right? You can't build a harem of 9s and 10s on a dating app. Okay, it just doesn't work. Listen, it requires a lot more time and effort than just buying Tinder Gold and swiping right. It's not that simple. And anyone who thinks it is, they're going to be sorely disappointed. Sleeping with pretty girls on the regular is a full-time job, guys. There is no way around it. I did this for 3.5 years. I know, dude, I've been there. This is the price you pay to attract attractive women on the regular. Every guy thinks they want 7 girls in a rotation at the same time at once, but very few of them have no idea how much work is involved to accomplish a harem, and even fewer understand the work involved to maintain that harem. Building and maintaining a harem is not for most people, guys. So if you're the kind of guy who says, well, I want to have a harem of 5 girls, be careful what you wish for. It's all fun and games until you actually get the harem, and that is where the real work begins. Thanks for listening, guys. I will see you guys at 8 o'clock Eastern on the Red Line. Thanks for watching.